Hey everyone, so welcome to the channel. This morning I'm going to do for you a get ready with me, kind of spare the moment. I didn't want to not have a video this week. So it's Monday morning, I just showered, did my hair, and I just put on moisturizer. I have this one here. It's got SPF 30, so that'll help me. Alright, next I like to do the Bare Minerals Prime Time for my foundation. See if this one's got any left. Yep. A little bit left. Kind of rub that on. It smells kind of yucky, but, you know, by the end you don't smell it. So, you only need like a little dime size on your finger to spread out on your face. I always keep a little towel here. I had gotten some makeup ones from Dollar Tree, but they're upstairs. I haven't brought them down, so just using a face cloth for today. Okay, next I'm using the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Cushion Foundation in N4. And that seems like it's a good match. I've been just using what it came with. I got my mirror over here so I can see what I'm doing. So I've had a rough week last week. The reason I didn't have a plan with me Friday was on Wednesday, my son went into Hasbro Children's Hospital, and we were there till Friday. I got home at about 5 o'clock on Friday. I thought he was getting mono due to he was exhausted the week previous, right after the 4th, and because I had looked it up online. But, so Tuesday of last week, we had taken the kids, me and my mom, to a Burger King with the new play yard that we haven't been to. And he was doing well. He finally seemed to be getting out of the tiredness, so I was kind of happy. We had just went Monday for blood work with the pediatrician, because on the Friday previous, we had called in, made the appointment for Monday, and on Tuesday, he was getting better. They called us up while we were at the play yard and said, yeah, it's mono, and the number for Lyme, because we weren't sure about Lyme, so they checked for Lyme, didn't seem like it was going to be Lyme. He said the number was 3 on the scale, and he didn't think it was going to be Lyme. Let's see, my blush I'm going to use today is in this little palette, It Cosmetics, and it's got the really pretty peach blush with a nice highlighter and a bronzer. I'm going to get my brush. Sorry for the closeness. Yeah, so I was like, okay. But then all day Tuesday at the playhouse, he was squinting his eye, one eye, to kind of see. My mom's like, well, he has the stigmatism. And she's like, well, I do too. And that's what I would do. And that's when I started to realize that I had the stigmatism. I was like, oh, so then I shouldn't worry about it? I still wasn't sure what Mom was saying about that whole thing. But then, so when we got home later on in the evening, he tells me and my husband he's seeing double. I was like, what are you talking about? So then he said he also had a headache to my husband, which I didn't know until they were in bed. So double vision to me, that's not right. So I said, well, if by the morning he still has double vision, I'll call the pediatrician and make an appointment. Alright, I like to use this one for a bronzer. Oops, sorry. the Too Faced, and this is in Sweet Tea. I like this one, so I'm going to put this on. And we're going out to pottery, where they can go and pick a pottery to paint. They've never done it, and I used to do it as a kid. My mom took me a few times. There was a place close by here, but I guess there's not anymore. So we're just going to take a little drive, about 20-25 minute drive. So I'm hoping this lighting is good. Let's see. I'm going to try to... I'm hoping the kids are getting dressed upstairs. My mom's going to be here in a half an hour. Alright, next. I've got that highlighter, but I have a few others. I think I'm going to use my Becca, which is where? If I can find it. Here it is. I've got the Becca in Opal, and I like that one. Let me get my brush. I like this one. This one is the Wet n Wild from Dollar Tree. I'll use that for my highlighter. And then I'll just smooth it in. And it's funny, I'll stop doing this, and then I'll say, oh, I forgot to do my concealer, which is what I'm thinking right now. So I can't do this under my eyes yet. On the cheeks. I just had my eyebrows waxed on, what, Saturday? So I'm looking good after being at the hospital. Yes, so Wednesday I called the eye doctor, because I thought, you know, this is related to the eyes. Whoops, I have to glue that, and I knew that was going to happen. My little tiered thing I made fell down. Alright, I gotta find it. Here it is. This is my Bare Minerals Stroke of Light Eye Brightener. I don't know if it has a... That's my concealer. You can hear the kids. Hopefully they're getting ready. But they were like, because I said, is this a side effect to mono? They didn't know. The doctor was too busy to get asked. I'm like, thanks. So I called the pediatrician, and they put me on hold, the receptionist, talked to the doctor, and they said, he wants to see you right now. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm about a half an hour drive. Well, like 20-minute drive. And I'll be there soon. So we got ready, quick. Went over, had an eye exam. And he came in and he said, I'm going to send you to the specialist near the hospital. It's across the street in another building, and I've been there before. There's like all different suites and a few floors, and you're going to go there. I'm like, okay. So the appointment was for a few hours from then, so we came home, had lunch, and my mother met me so she could take my daughter. Thank God that she did. Because then it would have been more of a mess to try and get, you know, my daughter and her home, and, well, not really, but, I managed by myself. It was tough. Alright, so now I need my powder, and then I'll do more of the highlighter. So I have powder here. I have It's Cosmetics Your Skin But Better CC Airbrush Perfecting Powder with SPF 50, and this is in Fair. Whoops. And I have one a little bit darker, but I like this one, so I don't want it too noticeable. So I pat that under the eyes. And this brush, I love. This is It's Cosmetics, and I like how it can get right under your eye for the powder. So then I'll just add it elsewhere. So that's the powder. I like to get a highlight under here as well. So, excuse me. So with the specialist, we did some examining, and it was a woman, and she was really nice. And then they dilated his eyes. So then we sat in the waiting room again, and she had said to me before in the waiting room, she said to me, we might need to do an MRI. Boom! My heart just sank, and I started to tear up. I was like, what? So this was not just a vision situation. I was lipping out. All right, so now I need for my eyeshadow. Let's see, this one. All right, got my brushes. I'm gonna try, I haven't done this one in a while, the Revolution palette. Let's move this out of the way. And, alright, I have an eye primer, and I do not know where it is. And I'm gonna have to find that this afternoon, because I really like having an eye primer on. So, we will have to just not do that today. So, let's try. So, I was flipping, and I was texting my husband and my mother in the waiting room. So then, went back to check the eyes after like a half an hour waiting. And, she checked, and she says, yeah, you need to go for the MRI. She called the pediatrician, and they said that they're seeing fluid behind his eyes and around his brain. And I was like, what? And that's giving him the double vision, and we need to see why is it doing that? Why is there fluid? Is it just bacterial? Or is there... And they didn't want to say the word. And then my husband heard about it when I was in with the MRI, that they were worried there's a tumor. And I'm like... So when I came out and heard that, I was like, oh my Lord. So, we went over, and luckily my husband was able to leave work. He wasn't far from the base, you know, and he met us just as we had just finished checking in across the street at the hospital, and which was wonderful. So that way I knew I'd have him as a support system. But then when we're in ER, getting all the vitals and waiting, and they said, oh, we're not going to do it till tomorrow, so he's going to sleep over. And he also needs a spinal tap. And so that's basically what I got, a needle in the back, you know, when you have a baby. And I'm like, oh my Lord. But I'm like, all right. But then I kind of wanted it then, but then I was like, well, you know, I really wanted it right away, you know, but I can't do anything about it. So that was sucking. And so then we're like, well, he'll have time. We're not far away. Go home. We have the dog at home. You're going to have to bring it to my mother-in-law's. And then get some stuff for the morning, clothes and all that. So then he's off and going. I get a word that they're going to do it, like, now. And I'm like, how soon now? Like, I was like, are you kidding me? At least I knew I wanted to be in there. And so, you know, but I kind of wanted my husband to be here so he could, you know, be a part of the process and help me along. But, so I had called him up. He just had gotten into my house. So he's like rushing. at this point, I said, well, they still haven't let me consent, and, you know, they're about to put an IV in. So, I mean, it's going to be at least an hour, my thought, at that point. And, so this is my Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in, it's a black. I think it's called Zero. But it's got like some sparkle to it. He rushed, and lo and behold, he made it. So happy. With a little bit of time to spare even, and I was so happy. And so was he. So, let me just get my mascaras. I've been lately putting a couple different ones on, because I'm not too happy with the one I had been using. So, I had been using, which I'm going to have to be done with soon, the Better Than Sex by Too Faced. And I like it, but when I add this one, which is the Benefit Bad Gal, it's amazing. So, we're going to do that. So, we went for the MRI. So they talked to me and they said there's two types you could do sedation. One, a small amount, where he's pretty much awake, but like he's in like that little dream-like state. And then if it's and he can't stay still with his head, there's another one where pretty much he'll like kind of pretty much fall asleep. And what's nice is then they don't remember it. So we started with the small amount, and we went in, and there's like a helmet, and there's like a mirror effect where he can see me sitting right across, and I can see his eyes. Okay. I'll be up in a minute. Did you open the door? And, it was awful, because I could just see his eyes, and, like, it just didn't look like Ben, you know? And then he was, like, kind of getting weirded out. He had the headphones on, listening to music, and he started moving his head, and he was, like, saying weird things, and he's going like this, like, and then he's, like, twitching his hands and twitching his feet. And I'd be like a thumbs up, because they were in the room on the other side of the window, and I could see them in the dark, and they could see me, and I'm like, is he okay? And they're, like, giving me the thumbs up, and then I'm like, there was a panic button that I could hit if I felt like he wasn't doing okay, and I was about to, and then they came in, and they said, he's moving too much, so we had to give him the other one. So my husband's in the other room, and they were, I guess I saw at that point when they had the door open, that they were talking with him. So I was glad with that, because I didn't need him in there. They say it could take up to 2 hours. And, it felt like 500 hours. So, we did that, and he was asleep. And I just sat there and watched him, and his eyes were closed. He kept twitching his leg a little bit, and then his hand a little bit, just a little bit every now and then. But his face and head stayed still, and we got through it. So then afterwards, they were able to say, within a few minutes, no tumor. We were overjoyed, but we still had to go for the spinal tap right after that. So we basically got wheeled back to the ER and proceeded to prep. My husband didn't want to see, so he stayed out. I sat in, and I was so nervous, but I managed. And again, he just stayed in that sedation. 2 nurses held him, which is crazy. And then it was done. And crazy. So lips, I think I'm gonna just put on, where is it? My dog's barking. I think I'm gonna just use the Jordana Lip Shine in Candy. That gives a nice sparkle. So by the time we got in a room, it was after midnight, and Stephen left. He was going to go sleep at home, take the next day out of work, come back with clothes. So we couldn't even get us clothes. He just grabbed the dog and the food and brought the dog. He even said he went by the exit for his mother. Had to go back around. So this is the look. Not sure if you can see it. I'm going to head out now with them. And then what I'll do is I'm going to finish up telling you the story of the hospital with this Get Ready With Me. So that way it's not left untold. I want to go put some earrings on. So we'll catch you in a little bit. Okay, so it is now 9 o'clock. The kids are in bed. Me and the husband just did some talking. Got a whole thing going on with Sebastian. But anyways, let me get back to the story. So that way I can go and upload this tonight. Yeah, so we got into the room, got admitted to the hospital around midnight, 12:30. And my husband took off to go home, sleep at home, and be able to bring clothes in the morning, that he wasn't going to be working the next day. So he, we had tons of doctors having checks and checking his, to see if like he had feeling in his body and how his vision was, and all that kind of jazz through the night and all that. So by morning, before we left the ER, I think it was, he had his first dose of an antibiotic that they said they're pretty sure maybe it's going to be Lyme disease. So we'd better get a start on the antibiotic. So because he had the IV, just went in the IV. And they were telling us it was probably going to be 3 weeks of the medicine, and you don't want to be here for 3 weeks. So he was going to have a pit put in, which is a special IV that goes in the arm and comes up the arm. Why did it get quiet? My AC. Is it supposed to do that? Maybe. And the tube inside him and then come to the heart. And that's where the antibiotic would go. So I was like, oh boy. So he's going to have that done. And that's a whole procedure in itself. And he'd have to be kind of knocked out, a little drowsy to do that. I was like, great. So he had his first dose on Wednesday evening, really late at night, probably like 11, 12 o'clock. And so then in the morning, they had said that he was going to have the procedure in the morning. So then they said he's not going to have breakfast. So we didn't order breakfast, and we hung out, and then they told us, I forget at what time, my mom and Emma came over in the morning around 10:30, 11, and my husband was there, and then we found out that he would have breakfast, because we were eating breakfast down the hall in the playroom, because we didn't want to be in front of him if he couldn't have his breakfast. So while we were there, I guess the nurse came in and asked him that he could have breakfast, what would he want? So he picked pancakes and stuff like that, and he was so excited that he did it himself, and when I got back, the plate was right there ready to eat. So he was all excited. So he got to have his breakfast, and his appetite was good, and he was feeling okay. No problems. He was having double vision on Thursday, and so at the eye doctor, the specialist, they gave him a prism on his left eye, which is like a sticky thing that had like these lines on it. And I still have one. I could show it to you, but I don't feel like getting it right now. It was $30, but they gave it to me for free. I was really excited. And you stick it on with like water, and it just kind of sticks on the glass. And that was supposed to help his double vision, which he kept saying it was helping him. So then Thursday, they said they were going to be doing it later in the afternoon. So then he couldn't have his lunch. So he didn't have his lunch, and they called around, they said about like soon. So it was like 1:30, and about 2 o'clock, they said, okay, now it's time. So about 2 o'clock, he went, and I went with him, and Stephen came with me, and we went to another part of the hospital for the procedure to put the pit in. And they sedated him as well. And it was a little rough, a little bloody, and he was a trooper. He was amazing. So
that took a couple hours, about 4:30, and then we came back up to the room where my mom and Emma, was, and we knew at that point then, he had some snacks down right after when he was recovering. And he doesn't even remember it. It was crazy because even afterwards, then he had to go have some X-rays like 2 doors down, and me and the nurse was each holding a hand, and we wanted to, because it was down near the heart, but it was facing upward. They wanted to face downward, and so that's why they go take the X-ray to make sure it's in the right spot. And so if you could just do jumping jacks with them with the arms, so while we were walking to the X-ray, we had to do the arms up and down, and he says he doesn't even remember that. And I kind of had a feeling that we shouldn't have let him like get off the table, the bed, so to speak, right away. Like she was like, "Let's go," and I was like, "He's not even with it yet." But he was okay. We held his hand, and so after that, then he was good. He had his snacks. We went back up to the room. He was hungry, so we ordered him some dinner. And then he ate dinner. So then we were taking turns having dinner. My in-laws came. And then that's when Mom and Emma left. So that way she'd have some time to go home, have some dinner, and have some more time. She likes to play and have her time with just Mimi and Papa. And Papa was working. So then on his way home, he stopped at the hospital. He got there around 7:15, stayed till about 8. And then he was getting tired. And we relaxed and watched a movie together. So it was really nice. I had some really nice time with Benjamin, but not the kind of scenery you'd want it to be in, in the atmosphere. But it was really nice. And then we went to bed about 10 o'clock, and I slept horrible the first night. I couldn't even sleep. My mind was going like crazy. And so then Thursday into Friday, they kept saying, oh, so I didn't tell you that part. So they kept telling me Wednesday that the 3 weeks of the antibiotic, which means no going in the water, no beach, no pool outside, and you're going to have to cover it for showers and really be careful with, and they were going to train me, and nurse was going to come and train me, and I was going to have to do it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, but I can do it because I did when I was pregnant both times. I had diabetes and I had to give myself insulin. So not too bad, but it's still like you worry. It's your child who needs, to get better, not get worse, and have a a swollen arm and infected and all that good stuff. So, and I was like, just to have to know that he can't. And then the thing too is they say with the Lyme, you don't want to have them get like kicked in the stomach because then they can like burst. I don't know, different things in there. And so like I was like, oh great, because this weekend, the day after he came home, was sign up for football and my daughter for cheerleading, which they both did last year. And I'm like, the pediatrician says you shouldn't tackle football till you're 13. And like, I've been saying that all along. My brother didn't do it till he was about 12, 13. And my husband didn't do it till he was about 14, 15 years old. So I was like, we really shouldn't be doing this, and especially this year. So then on Thursday, they still said 3 weeks of this antibiotic. So I was like, oh God. So he didn't really hear us, I don't think, when we were talking about it. The doctors were amazing. The head guy was awesome. So Friday morning, Stephen had to go to work. So again, he slept at my house and he went off to work. And all of a sudden, and so I know he wasn't coming back to the hospital, but for some reason I could hear him, and it ended up being around 6:25 in the room, and I heard a male voice, and I'm like, so I opened my eyes, and there was a male guy, I thought nurse, with Benjamin, and then Benjamin says, oh Ma, where's my socks? Because he knew we had those slipper socks they had given him. I said, oh, they're over here, I'll get them. And he was like, well, there was another nurse going to get him some, and I could hear her say, oh, I'll get him some. I said, well, we have some. So then they said, all right, come on, we're going to go for the X-ray. And in my mind, I'm like, are you kidding me? So if I wouldn't have woken up, no one was going to tell me that my son had to go for an X-ray at 6:30 in the morning. But I think if I was still laying there sleeping, I know my son would have said, I want my mom to come. We need to wake her up. And maybe they would have, and it just, because I woke up, that was the situation. But I was just like, oh my God. So we had to go, 6:30 to have another X-ray to make sure that his thing was doing okay. And it was. So they said, so then all you have to do now is have one more medicine, because we already had 2, on Wednesday night and then Thursday night at 10 p.m. So now they're going to switch it to earlier so that you can go home, and you probably want to have it earlier anyway. You don't want it at like 10 p.m. So they did it for like, they were saying about 3 o'clock. And I said, all right, awesome. We'll have it 3 to 3:30 and we should be out of here hopefully by 4 and get home by 4:30, 5 o'clock. I was like, yes. And so yeah, we just kind of hung around Friday, and my Aunt Denise came and to keep us company. And, we were playing in the playroom and taking some games to the room and playing some board games and having lunch and stuff like that. So then my aunt left after lunch, and then at 3 o'clock they did the medicine till 3:30, and she's like, all right, 5 minutes, I'll have paperwork for you. And she did, and we were out of there. So I got home just at 5 o'clock on Friday. I was so happy to be gone. And so, yep, the nurse came Saturday I basically administered it with the nurse here Friday. Saturday. And then Sunday I was on my own. So Saturday she came for 1:30, and she was supposed to come 1:30. She came a little early, around like 1. So, and then she said, if you want for Sunday, we could move it to like 11 a.m., which is what I did. And then this morning I did it at 9. So now I can do it at 9, because usually we wake up around 7:30, but now he's been sleeping till like 8. So I woke him up at 8 this morning. And then, so as long as he's up at 8, I have to take the antibiotic out of the fridge at 8 and minister at 9. So then he sits with the antibiotic for half an hour. And then before the antibiotic and after the antibiotic, you have to push in a saline. And then after the second saline, you do a, what's it called? Heparin. It's SASH, SASH. And then you're done. So after the antibiotic, you do the saline, and then you clean it off, and then you do a heparin, and then you're done. So it takes about, 35, 40 minutes. Yeah, there it goes again. Okay, maybe that's like the energy saver part. It's a new AC we just got. Let me think. Friday night, he went out to Walmart and got us another AC, because Oz had shit the bed last year. So we had gotten another hand-me-down from my grandfather that's in the kitchen just before we were in the hospital. And Friday night we got the one for our bedroom, so it cools off the whole house, which is good, which we need for Benjamin to feel good. So lately though, he's been now having the side effects, which he really wasn't having. He started Friday at the hospital having a headache where he was crying, and they gave him Motrin, and that calmed it down. He had a little bit of a headache, but then he was having his hip was hurting him, so we gave him the Motrin, and we did ice pack. And then when we got Saturday, he started with headaches, and they say sometimes the light affects with, because of the whole double vision and his headaches he's supposed to get, and he has been. So like today we took him to, Saturday night we went to a dinner, and for an award ceremony that we had been invited to, and I thought, get out of the house, not be stuck in the house. I've been stuck in the hospital, and he had trouble. He was getting a headache, and he couldn't eat and stuff, so we had to leave kind of quick, but we stayed for the dinner. And then this morning we went to Ceramic, and he had trouble, but I forgot to take the Motrin, so my mom ran down the street to get Motrin, and within a half an hour he was good to go, and it was fun. So I got Motrin that I'm going to have to keep in my purse, so if we go anywhere and he gets headaches because of the light, we will be all set. So that's basically the story so far. So we're on day 3, 4, 5, 6. Today was day 6, and we have to go to 14, which will be mid next week. And from there, we have to wait and see if they say more. Like my mom had it 5 years ago, and she had no side effects, but she was on the antibiotic for 30 days. So I'm hoping it's only 14, so we can go swimming and we can go to Water Whiz, like we always go every summer, and he loves to swim. Like Emma wants to go swimming, but now he's just like, oh, but I can't go by myself, so it might be a rough summer, but we'll get through. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Get Ready With Me. It was just like a spare of the moment. I had been thinking about it, and then when I went down this morning, I said, you know what, let me do this, because I don't know if I'll do a video for Wednesday, but I should have one Friday for you, a plan with me. This Friday, I was able to do my planner yesterday on Sunday, so that's why I didn't have even anything last week. Wednesday I had went in the hospital, and I don't even think Monday I had a video for you. So that is why I want you all to know. If you want to go follow me on Facebook, I'll link it down below if you already do. And that way you can know ahead of time with things that are happening. Thank you guys so much for the prayers. They meant so much to me. And also, if you want to follow me on Pinterest, I'm Glitter DIY Diva over there. I can link that down below. And that's really it. That or Pinterest and Instagram. So thank you guys again. I had a great time this morning recording that for you and telling you our story of the past week. So until next time, guys, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget, give me a comment down below. Give me a question. And I will talk to you next time. Enjoy the glitter.